Welcome to Capitalize Your Finances, the podcast that's your ultimate guide to mastering personal finances and unlocking the secrets of entrepreneurship. Each week, we dive into the world of personal finance and business development and have fascinating conversations with industry experts, seasoned entrepreneurs, and thought leaders who share their insights, strategies, and stories to help you get ahead in life. Whether you're a seasoned entrepreneur looking to scale your business or someone just starting out on your financial path, this podcast is your go-to resource for inspiration and actionable insights.
Welcome back to Capitalize Your Finances. As always, I'm your host, Christopher Panayiotou, certified financial planning professional, the Cap and Capitalize. And on today's episode, we are going to go over 6 financial milestones worth celebrating. But as always, before we get into the crux of the episode, the free advice for the week. When you look back on your life, you'll understand the greatest gift wasn't the end goal, it was the process. Now we got that fun little tidbit out of the way. We are going to get into the 6 financial milestones worth celebrating. And I don't only want to go over just the big wins as just what they are. I also want to tell you how to celebrate these responsibly, because there's no point in achieving these goals, not just financially, but in life, if you're only going to end up back at ground zero. So the first one, and this is the most popular one by a country mile, is becoming debt-free or paying off a major debt. So whether it's paying off credit cards or student loans or your car, becoming free from a debt, it's a huge financial and emotional win. And there's a reason why it matters. It frees up income, it frees up cash flow for you to go and reinvest into other things like your 401k or IRA, things of that nature, or just frees up cash flow for you to breathe a little bit easier. And most importantly, it builds a ton of confidence. And in order to celebrate appropriately and responsibly, what I would do is I would take yourself out to a nice budget-friendly dinner. Don't just blow it and then go backwards. Or you could do something meaningful that doesn't involve new debt. One of the things that I do if I have some major milestone, whether it's financial or just in general, is I just take a walk around my block. And being in Washington State in the winter, that is one of the worst ideas possible because it's rainy, it's cold, it's gray, it's depressing. So obviously if it's nice out, I will do that. Or then sometimes for me, I'll even go in my thinking room at our headquarters and I'll just reflect on it. So whatever it is, make sure that you do the equivalent, but you've got to celebrate the win of becoming debt free. The second one is building an emergency fund. And more often than not, building an emergency fund is most people's primary first major milestone. Because let's face it, it's a lot easier to build an emergency fund as opposed to becoming debt-free. And so hitting that first goal, I don't care if it's getting to your first $500 in your emergency fund, $1,000, or if you hit that official 3 to 6 months that I like to tell you want to have, depending on your situation, it's a major step forward to you in terms of financial security, and it allows you to take a breath. And also with interest rates being where they're at right now, even though this recording is toward the latter part of 2025, and more likely than not, interest rates are going to drop slightly. It's not like I'd be lying to you if I said I wish they didn't drop to the levels of 2020, because there was a lot of good that came from that from a fiscal standpoint. However, I don't think they're going to drop that much. In fact, I can almost guarantee you they're not going to drop like 2020 levels. So my point with that is when you build up your emergency fund, not only have you done that, but if you have your emergency fund in the right place, like an online savings account, your emergency fund actually starts to pay you a little bit, which is kind of cool. And of course, it matters to have an emergency fund in a big way. It's going to protect you from going backwards into debt during unexpected events. And that breath of fresh air is going to be paramount to your health. And then number 3, before we head on into the commercial break, hitting a credit score milestone. And I've gotten some slack in the past with downplaying credit scores. And again, this is in previous episodes. Credit scores are valuable. I don't want you to become obsessed with, oh my gosh, I need to get the best credit score. Yes, it is valuable, but it's funny. Over time, as you become more financially successful, you become a little less attached to your credit score. And the simple reason for that is you may not need to use as much credit, because if you have the means to pay for it outright, you don't have to finance anything. Now, again, that's a long ways away for most people, and some people never get there, and that's fine. But again, hitting the credit score milestone, it's a big one. And so I'll just give you an example. If you hit a credit score of 700 or 750 or 800 or above for sure, those are extremely strong credit scores. And the reason why that's valuable is having a strong credit score, it opens doors for you when it comes to getting loans for a home, a car, student loans, things of that nature. You're going to get better interest rates, rental approvals, and indirectly even job opportunities. Believe it or not, that can play a role. So the biggest reason why this matters, it gives you more financial freedom and leverage. It gives you more negotiating power. And in order to celebrate with appropriately with a credit score milestone, I would check with I would first check with your FICO score. And once you know what your score is, then what I would do is I would go back and start calling on places where you have a loan, mortgage broker, car loan, things of that nature. See if you can negotiate a better rate on insurance or on a loan. I know that might not sound as celebratory, but it's one of those things where if you get it done, you're going to feel that much better, because if you do get a better rate on something, you're not paying as much per month for cash flow. Therefore, you have more breathing room. Therefore, it all spirals into having the ability to pay emergencies if they come up, having the ability to fund your emergency fund faster, pay down that bad debt faster, things of that nature. So we're going to take a quick commercial break. And then when we come back, we're going to keep going through the 6 financial milestones worth celebrating and how you can do so responsibly. So don't go anywhere. Stick around.
Are you ready to transform the way you approach sales? This episode is sponsored by the second book in the Capitalize series, Capitalize Your Sales, the all-in-one sales framework that saves you from ever struggling again and teaches you how to sell with sincerity, which dives deep into the art and science of driving sustainable growth. Packed with strategies that go beyond surface-level techniques, this book will help you understand what it takes to truly connect with clients, build long-term relationships, and close deals. Whether you're looking to fine-tune your sales craft or break through to the next level, Capitalize Your Sales offers a roadmap to success designed for today's fast-paced business world. Head on over to your favorite bookstore, order today, and start capitalizing your sales immediately. And now, back to the episode.
Welcome back to the show. We're going to get right into number 4 of the 6 financial milestones we're celebrating: saving for retirement consistently. And before the commercial break, the financial milestones I talked about, they're very black and white. Like once you hit it, and then it's done. Saving for retirement consistently, it's a perpetual thing until you obviously retire. But starting a retirement account, like a 401k, and most of you, if you have a 401k, which again, I'd say the majority of you listening in have a retirement plan through your employer. If you work for a nonprofit, generally it's a 403b. If it's a governmental entity, a 457b. But if you have a retirement account through your employer, you want to start using that. And if you don't, you want to start with an IRA or a Roth IRA, depending on your tax situation. But the point is, you want to start consistently contributing to these vehicles, because that is going to lead to the long-term success of your overall retirement. A lot of people think, oh, I need to hit the next investment of the day. And as of right now, the hot stock is NVIDIA. Back in the day, I mean, you could pick your poison. There's been Amazon, there's been Berkshire Hathaway. There's a number of these where people, they get this cult-like following into, I need to invest in this company, and that is going to be my ticket to success. As the farthest thing from the truth. Your best chance of success is consistently contributing your money to your retirement plans. And also secondarily, there's some tax benefits with that as well. But I don't want to go beyond that because that's beyond the scope of this episode. Obviously, why it matters is compounding your growth over time. It's going to make a huge, huge difference in your future wealth and actually your future health. Because generally speaking, more money you have, the better you will feel in the fact that you won't feel as crunched for everyday expenses. And in terms of celebrating, what I would do is once a quarter, I would assess your situation and see if, all things being equal, you are still saving a little bit of money in your savings. You don't have to save as much money because, again, your emergency fund is saved up. You don't need to take any excess money and put it towards bad debts because maybe you don't have any bad debts. And so the last place to look would be increasing your contributions a little. I would say 1% a quarter. Again, if you have the ability to do so. And that may not feel like a celebration today, but trust me, your future self will thank you mightily for that. Number 5, buying your first big asset. So like a car or a home. If you've saved for a down payment and made a responsible purchase, and you've done so in a responsible way, that is a huge win and a huge step in the right direction of financial success. And obviously why it matters, it proves to you that you have long-term planning principles and prudency and discipline with your money. Now, in terms of celebrating that win, it's pretty anticlimactic, but once you've bought it and the dust settles, take a moment to reflect on how far you've come. And what I would also do is I would set a goal to protect and maintain that asset. So just giving you a little moment of vulnerability, I do a really bad job at appreciating what I have. I've gotten a lot better. I've gotten loads better at it. I will give myself credit there, but I have a long way to go. Part of it, that's just who I am. I like to think forward. I like to always not look down the road at the next best thing, but I'm always planning. And part of that with, whether it's the show or my business or speaking or whatever the case is, there's always something to do. But I've been very active lately of scheduling blocks throughout the month where I specifically don't do anything and I just appreciate what I have. I mentioned it earlier and I'll say it again. My thinking room has been one of the best gifts that I've ever given myself. Going for walks, sometimes sitting on my back deck. Currently we have raccoon issues, so I'm not doing that right now. But when those are hopefully gone forever, I can't wait to go back there. And especially in the late fall months where it's orange and yellow and red and it's cool and it's crisp and it's quiet. And I can just appreciate what I have. And whatever your equivalent is, I highly recommend you do so. And I'll warn you, if you don't do it, you're going to blow through your life and go, well, what was this all for? Like, I didn't get to appreciate any of it. And the last financial milestone we're celebrating, but certainly not least, reaching a net worth goal. So oddly enough, hitting a $0 net worth can be a win. And you're probably like, how does that even make sense? Well, think about it. If you are coming out of, if you're listening in and you're in college or you've just graduated from college. Chances are you have a negative net worth. You may have a little bit of cash saved up, but if you've taken out student loans or personal loans, because again, schooling's expensive, well, you're in the negative. And how cool would it be someday to get to that break even when you are not worth negative? You are at zero. What if you get to $10,000, $100,000, even higher? It's one of those things where when you hit that certain net worth goal, there's this euphoric rush of excitement that'll just pulse through your veins. And every milestone when it comes to money matters. I'm looking on one of my walls here at the late and great Charlie Munger, and I've mentioned him a ton on my show, one of my favorite investors of all time, if not arguably my my favorite famous investor. And he's famous for saying your first 100,000 is a bitch. And that's true. I mean, it is very, very difficult to get to that first $100,000. But once you get to that point, the ball starts to roll and compound. And that's where it starts to get really, really, really exciting. But again, I don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole. Whatever that net worth goal is that you set for yourself, when you hit it, it matters in terms of the value of why it matters. It shows you're growing financially and you're creating real wealth. Now, how to celebrate this? I'm a visual learner, so I like to track things visually. And I do have to give a shout out to our interactive net worth tool, which you can find on capitalizedpodcast.com, where you can track your net worth over time and you can run different scenarios and all that fun stuff. I use that for my own situation regularly. So if you want to use that tool, if you have your own, if you're old school, like my grandpa, every single month, what he would do, and he passed away a couple of years ago, but what he would do is every month he would write down, like ledger, what his net worth was. Whatever tool you want to use and what works, use it. But tracking that in some form of chart, some form of graph, just numbers, understanding it. What I like to do is I like to, and my wife and I are obviously very big on communication just in general, but I'm very big on communicating money to my wife and letting her know, because, you know, in our household, she takes care of all the healthcare stuff. I mean, she's an amazing nurse practitioner and midwife, and, you know, medical, it's a different language. And no shocker, I take care of the financial side of things because of obvious reasons. And so we're very big on communicating everything between each other. And, you know, when we hit these goals, because we're supporting each other, I mean, we are a team. It's, you know, the point of marriage. We celebrate, and it doesn't have to be going out to dinner. Sometimes we're just in our living room going, whoa, this is really, really cool. Now, if you're not married, or you maybe that's not as important to your spouse as it is, maybe one of your friends are more fiscally goal oriented about hitting a certain net worth goal, share that moment with one of them, and because they support you and they want to see you succeed. And one thing I do want to say about net worth, though, all the other milestones, again, pretty cut and dry. This last one, it's valuable. In fact, I could argue it's the most valuable tool that you can celebrate, and milestone worth celebrating. But it's also a dangerous one. And what I mean by that is you can become very quickly a slave to just compounding to that next dollar. And again, you know, if you're worth more than zero and you've gone from zero to more than zero, like that's a big win. I get it. Once you get to a point where you know that you are going to be fine, you still need to keep prudent principles in place. Say that 10 times fast. But I don't want you to become so obsessed that you miss out on other things. Peter Lynch, another one of my favorite investors of all time, he was famous for saying that I have served my money in my portfolio for many years. And at some point, it's time for my money in my portfolio to serve me. And it's no different for you with your net worth goal. You should be serving your financial situation. You should be serving your net worth goal and growing your net worth. However, once you get to that point where you know that you and your family, if you have one, are going to be taken care of, at that point, it's time for your net worth to serve you. So I just wanted to give that warning. That does it for today's episode. As always, I'm your host, Christopher Panayiotou, certified financial planning professional, the Cap and Capitalize. And until next time, keep capitalizing. Take care. As always, thank you for joining me today. If you have questions about today's episode or any personal finance questions, please reach out to me at Cap and Capitalize on Instagram, Chris@capitalizeyourfinances.com, or via our website, capitalizepodcast.com. If you want more Capitalize Your Finances content, head on over to capitalizepodcast.com and check out our blog, free resources, book, and online course. As always, I'm your host, Christopher Panayiotou, certified financial planning professional, the Cap and Capitalize. And until next time, keep capitalizing.
The information provided should not be considered specific tax, legal, or investment advice and is not specific to any individual's personal circumstances. Each taxpayer should seek independent advice from a tax professional based on his or her individual circumstances. These materials are provided for general information and educational purposes based upon publicly available information from sources believed to be reliable. The information in these materials may change at any time and without notice, and its accuracy cannot be guaranteed. This material should not be considered a solicitation of an offer to sell or buy any specific security or offering. Investors should consult a financial professional to determine whether risks associated with an investment in the shares are compatible with their investment objectives. 401(k) benefits may be subject to change at your employer, the governing pension, or benefit organization's discretion. IRA withdrawals will be taxed at ordinary income rates. Withdrawals prior to age 59.5 may also be subject to a 10% penalty tax. Roth IRA distributions of principal from a Roth IRA are tax-free. However, any earnings will be taxed at ordinary income rates, and a 10% penalty tax will apply if withdrawn prior to age 59.5 or within 5 years of the date the Roth IRA was established, whichever is longer. Examples cited are hypothetical, are for illustrative purposes only, are not guaranteed, and subject to potential federal and state law amendments. There is no guarantee that you will achieve the results discussed or illustrated. Christopher Panayiotou is a registered representative with, and securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC. Capitalize Your Finances, LLC is a separate entity from LPL Financial. Capitalize Your Finances is not registered as a broker-dealer or investment advisor. CRPS conferred by College for Financial Planning. Any other individual or company mentioned in this podcast are not affiliated with Capitalize Your Finances or LPL Financial.